Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It is time for match 2. But before then, we of course have been having a slumber party. I hope you all enjoyed the song from Ashniko, who has just lyricked up a storm.
The song slaps, man.
That was a good one, Mac. That was a good one.
Yeah, I had to think about that one for a second. It is a banger though. I was grooving here on the chair in the break. I don't know if you guys were. I think Jordan actually got up, took his headset off to dance.
That's right. Yep.
And then Groovy Juvie, you better believe he's just got the moves as well.
I didn't want to be the one to say it, but now that you've called me the Groovy Juvie, there's a few videos of me floating around on a night out.
I've seen those moves in person. It stuck with me, Juves.
I taught Rusty not how to dance. I taught him how I dance.
Aren't they they're in the Send It video, right? Someone's found him and put him in there.
Briefly.
Yeah.
Didn't know that was filmed, by the way, so oops.
Oh, oopsies. Well, hopefully we can film some more. And if you too would slumber party with Groovy Juvie at LCO, hashtag slumber party with Groovy Juvie for finals, and we can make it happen. One lucky individual, I might fly up out of my own pocket because I have not discussed this with anyone. But I could also not do that and save some money. Now, let's talk about the game. We've got Mammoth taking on Order here. And we're thinking Order are probably the favourites. If you look at the leaderboard, Mammoth's still yet to get a W. So let's talk Order first and talk about their strengths. Someone that is very strong on this lineup is Kevy. Keeps on getting that Vi through, and it seems to be getting them some Ws too, Rusty.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think Kevy's unique champion pool is an innate strength for the boys at Order at the moment because he is kind of the wild card in the team. You've got Chungi who can play to carry but seems to have a preference to being more supportive as well and does enable Kevy to shine. And so far, you've seen a lot of capability from the Order gang. You've seen a lot of potential from the Order gang. It hasn't been consistent enough to be able to chalk up wins against some of the better teams, and they do seem to be reliant, as do a lot of teams in the LCO, on getting those early leads. And I know I've said that a lot, and the meta actually does involve a lot of getting ahead early for what it's worth, but Order have shown, Maximize has improved day to day. He's sick of just being a support. This Camille game was no different. At the end of the day, it was just that Peace were too powerful, but Order still have the tools, and against Mammoth today, lots of potential to just get that win.
Well, who is their strongest tool, Juice?
The strongest tool of Order would have to be Puma, I would say.
Yeah?
I think that he's a very solid player, and he's probably been their most consistent even when all else fails around him. So it's just, I think the important thing for LCO in general is Mr. Consistency and having that player on your team. And for me, that is Puma.
Okay, well, if we talk about Mammoth instead, Jordan, who would be Mr. Consistency on this lineup? Because we've seen a couple of newcomers that have really drawn a lot of eyes.
No, man, I think it has to be one of the newcomers. I think a lot of people have been keeping their eyes quite firmly peeled on Goodo recently, and he's been having a pretty good time. I remember last week looking at that Diana game where they almost got the win. I thought that was really going to be the first one for Mammoth. I can't remember exactly who it was against, but certainly seemed like it was coming together for them, and unfortunately didn't, in the end. But I think Goodo definitely has been sort of a beacon of hope really for this Mammoth roster that has obviously struggled. They haven't found a win so far this split. They didn't have too many of them last split, but I think, we're getting a better brand of Mammoth than what we did last split, and that's kind of what we can really hope for, I mean, it's the same thing that we talked about for the likes of Gravitas and Legacy. It's that not necessarily do we want to see them come out and be the #1 team in the region for this split or anything like that. We just want to see that improvement. We want to see them be competitive, and I think Mammoth is kind of looking more competitive, in my opinion, than what they were last split, despite not having those wins.
Well, if you too want to see how competitive Mammoth are looking, you can see him down in the side lanes because Juves has the pre-game interview.
Juves with the pre-game interview in the side lanes, got Maximize here and Shinky. First of all, very honoured to have Shinky here because I believe this might be your first interview, so I'm glad I can share this experience with you. First of all, Shinky, talk to me about this game today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good today. I'm just excited to face Chungi once again and get my revenge, really. That's pretty much all.
Is there a rivalry between you two?
Yeah. Yeah, we had like a little banter, really. That's all. In the past, couple weeks and stuff. But yeah.
So you're going to roam mid maybe like 5 times pre-level 6?
Yeah, yeah, who knows? I might buy movies. Just send it mid a couple times.
Send it.
So you
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good marketing ploy there. Very good marketing ploy. Max, I have to ask you about today's game. I did see one of your tweets, and it was, I'm not going to throw you under a bus or anything, but you did say you could have carried the last game. Tell me what's going on through your head, VOD review, maybe just a quick TLDR, how you feeling?
Look, yeah, I definitely felt like the weight was on me last game to carry, and with the early lead that I had, I definitely should have. I've chucked my glass on today, so hopefully I can be a bit smarter with how I play in the late game, and hopefully we can get that double on the board.
So maybe it was just a vision problem as opposed to anything else.
For sure.
Sorry, dude. I've been there. I've done that, and that's the reason I went and got my eyes checked too. But so can we expect anything different from you? Because I guess we're starting to label you, or at least I am, as like the LPL sort of team, right? The drafts that you have, very skirmish, very focused, very eager to use the teleport to help wherever you need to go, even if it's at the expense of your lane to a slight extent. Is that something that we can really look forward to for weeks on, or you kind of want to take a back seat, slow the game down?
I think it's very dependent on the situation. I think last game with our comp, we really wanted to skirmish a lot early game. So when the situation arises, we'll happily go for that. I think we have really good mechanical players, so taking those skirmishes often favors us. So yeah, I think that is something fans can look forward to.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for joining me. Shinky, great to have you. Fantastic. And Maximize, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jubes, for providing the interview without telling them that they were your favorite players. So I don't know if you forgot to or if you just hate those two. Which one is it?
I definitely don't hate Shinky. I think he's actually an admirable young man. He was very polite, very friendly. He actually threw in a cheeky little marketing ploy there. Might have to hit him up to get him a part of the marketing team. Who knows? Don't know if there's an availability there yet. Again, I'll talk to some people. And then Maximize, you know, good bloke, man. To be honest, his glasses on, I was a bit shocked. I didn't expect it. He still looks good. This, that, whatever. He's my friend.
Can I just say, they look surprisingly similar to Rusty's glasses, just a different color.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember if they did.
I wonder if he's just trying to steal some of your power, Rusty.
Yeah, crazy.
I mean, there's not a lot of power for him to steal, mate. I'm retired from the game. He can take what he wants.
I don't know. You're
I
pretty.
thought you were an
pretty damn
international,
good.
international player at one point. That's pretty impressive.
Let's not check the calendar for when that was, but yes, I was at some stage.
Well, something else you are, Rusty, is winning predictions. Let's have a look at the predictions and see where everyone has lent for game number 2 of the day. Of course, Twitch chat getting me one on the board. Thank you very much. I appreciate that greatly. Finally.
By the way, can I just say it was by 2%. It was 51 to 49 when I saw it. So you're lucky, mate.
Wow.
Yeah, 1% diff. Okay, well, the 1% that got me over the line. Thank you very much. Now, Rusty, you've gone for order here. Why? And is it going to send you over to 25 Ws?
I mean, I think that ultimately it's similar to last game, and I liked the point that Jules brought up before as a way of explaining it. Like, Mr. Consistency, I think that is something that exists constantly for the side of Order. They've got a base level of skill where I think Mammoth have potential, right? They have a ceiling that could be above that level of consistency, but we've never seen more than one of them do that at a time. We've never seen it more than once in a row from that person that does it, and we just need a little bit more from Mammoth. So I don't have enough faith to predict their way, even though they could. I have much more faith in Order.
Well, let's see if anyone had faith in predicting Mammoth. If we flip it over to page number 2, Nat has. Okay, so Nat's gone for the underdog pick. So, Jubes, you're doing Nat's role, so can you tell me what Nat's thought process was?
Can I genuinely say what I think it was?
Yes.
She's not having to sit here to defend herself, so she's gone very outlandish with the tips.
Well, there you go. And I'll happily take that one. Now, before we jump into Champ Select, you got Mammoth and Order. Nothing too curious in terms of what we've seen from them so far. Maybe a couple of random picks thrown in there. Any expectations, Jubes? Anything that could be too crazy?
I actually want to see Order fall back to something slightly more meta. I think the Vi and stuff's fantastic when you pair it with the Galio, and I actually understand the idea and I like it. But I think I'd like to see them just to fall back to a staple get another win on the board, get a little bit more confidence back, because whether they say it or not, like losing that game to Peace in the fashion that they did, it's going to hit them a little bit in the confidence department. So I would like to see them kind of just fall back on what works for them, and just go again what they're comfortable playing. Because Kevy even said himself he hasn't played much Vi, but it's not that hard. And I mean, if that's where your mind's at when you're going into a big game, not so sure about it.
Well, this is a W that Order needs to stay towards the top of the table. And, gentlemen, Champ Select's ready. So, we're going to throw this one away. It's Mammoth in Order coming up right now.
Thank you very much, Mac. I mean, I've actually seen Mac playing a little bit of Ice, so maybe that was influenced by Kevy. But either way, we'll put that one by the wayside as we do jump into Champion Select here. Look, already got a Ziggs coming through for Order. Now, you were pretty confident that was going into the bot lane last game. Where do you think it's going this time?
I think the fact that it's picked in the first two makes me feel like it's flexible. But ultimately, I would expect the bottom lane. We did see it be pretty successful. Now, you have to remember what you're contending with on the other side. So the way that, because we've skipped a couple steps here in this draft, here's what I'm expecting. Because Lulu and Karma were both left open. They chose Lulu. Order go for the Ziggs. You're expecting the Lulu Cogmore, and then you immediately go Ziggs Karma into it and just push them in constantly and win the lane. That's what I would expect, because that's what I would have done if I was coaching Order in this situation. The Lucian third pick, to me, is an interesting spanner in the works here from Mammoth. Way clearly wanting to have some power in lane. I'm not sold on it, but I think Lucian is just a good pick to enable Goodo's jungle champ pool.
So what about a Senna? That would have been interesting. We do actually end up getting the Leona instead. So that'll obviously be going down to bot for Order. We know that much. But does that leave the door open then, obviously, for Karma somewhere else? Or are we just not going to get the Karma straight up here from Order? In which case, what does Mammoth think about that?
I mean, Maximize has been seen to play support champion, so that's theoretically possible, but I don't know if that's what we will see. Right now, looking at Order's composition, that should just be the bottom lane. Keep in mind the flexibility of Ziggs to going mid lane. So, again, I just said what I would have done. It's not necessarily locked in here for Order's side. They could still pick another AD carry down in bottom lane and play kill lane. They could even just do Ezreal Leona and play for roaming Leona and just have an Ezreal get pushed in and exist on a weak side. So, plenty of options still available for them. And that Braum ban is an indicator, perhaps, that they're not sold on the Lulu going bottom lane. They want to perhaps force it there.
Yeah, we'll see what this final ban is to come through for Mammoth. Do you like the idea behind the Mammoth composition so far? It's looking pretty nice. Always a big fan of the Cogmore Lulu. Feel like it's very difficult to deal with. And then obviously with the, the insurance of the Lucian there as well. If the Cogmore goes down, there's always still a target to sort of buff and assist. We do get the set ban through from Mammoth. So, still not entirely sure exactly where either of these two team comps are going.
I'm not sure if it'll be a jungler pick here as well, but I would like a laner if they're keeping the flexibility of the Viego jungle up. Definitely still a viable choice in that role. And one of the most amazing things as well, I don't know if you've considered this just yet, but Viego into Lulu Cog comps is hilarious. Because if you manage to kill the Cogmore, you become the Cogmore, and you honestly just rinse them. It is one of the most satisfying feelings in League of Legends because you're killing them with their own weapons.
Yeah, look, I mean, I have a lot of things to say about Viego, and some of them not so nice. But anyway, we'll hold that thought for the moment because we do have the Gwen locked in, which is actually, funnily enough, Rusty, my permaban. I did say I have a lot of champions that I would like to see removed from the game, and there's your one. So we'll see which one we do end up getting. I feel like we're getting a bit of a troll through here from Shinky. He's just going through the list of champions that have a name for themselves within the LCO so far. We actually get the Sejuani. Nice, interesting team composition. A lot of beefiness in that front line. I mean, I feel like Gwen is just inherently beefy by virtue of her abilities as well. So good front line for the Cogmore and for the Lucian. So interested to see how this one does pan out for Mammoth, and some shenanigans coming through for Order here as well.
So, as an aside, Kane is actually very good into the Sejuani. I just wanted to plant the seed that Sejuani can be flexed to top lane with Gwen jungle. Just wanted to plant that seed. Probably not going to happen this game, but it's possible. Kane being picked is almost exclusively because you see a Sejuani top lane, Sejuani jungle and think you're just going to have a free time. This is a pick that we used to go for in 2019 when Swaith was my jungler, because Sejuani clears slow, and at the moment you can full clear to 4 and accelerate yourself to level 6 clears just with how fast you are. And you really give yourself a lot of agency with where you want to gank the souls that you want to get, because you're just so far ahead of Gudo in this case on that Sejuani. So it's something that I think we'll have to keep a keen eye on. But at the same time, not getting stacks, not getting your transform, pretty devastating for a Kayn comp. And you've paired it with a Ryze, who does need time to scale, who does have a bit of reliance on the limited mana pool that you have early. So scaling even in just the tier stacking is a pretty big deal.
I gotta say, I'm actually a bit of a fan of this Mammoth team composition. I feel like it's quite a straightforward one to execute, which for a team that is at the bottom of the ladder is probably a good thing. You know, they have a very straightforward objective in mind. You've got that Cogmore. Let him get rolling in the team fights. Keep Sejuani and Gwen in front of him, and then sort of let Wei on that Lucian sort of do whatever he wants. If he can find an angle, if he can do whatever, something, that's fine. But as long as you keep Cogmore alive in this team fight, it could be a definitely, you know, a tough run here for Order. And I look at that Order team composition and I find myself thinking that if they don't find the right engage, if they have a bit of an awkward engage, a bit of an awkward fight here or there just isn't quite going to be the legs in that fight for them in comparison to the Mammoth composition. So I just feel like Mammoth have got an easier to execute comp than what Order does. What's your thoughts there?
No, I think that makes sense, and it's definitely true and something that Mammoth should be looking at, right? But I want to once again bring a caveat that we've seen Frost and Shinky play this duo, and we've seen a Lucian with it in mid lane, and they were winning the game, and they team fought really poorly as a duo. We had a frontline Cogmore that was not holding or using his flash appropriately, that was kiting away from his Lulu. So there's a lot that we would have watched in that game that said needed to be worked on, right? They've had time. So I'm hoping that what we see from Mammoth is a more refined use of the Cog Lulu composition, and that could be what gets them their first win in the LCO.
All right, well, this might be an interesting segue then into interview with Calvin from Order. We'll get a bit of a discussion with their coach, which is always nice. And I first sort of want you to pick your brains, I guess, on that topic. I'm sure you were able to sort of hear what we were talking about just there. Obviously, Frost's getting the Cogmore here and Shinky on the Lulu. I mean, it looks like a pretty big threat, right, for your team composition. Do you see it the same way that I do, or are you quite comfortable in your team composition's ability to sort of deal with that bot lane?
Hi, Sam. So yeah, I think for us, we're not really scared of the Cogmore Lulu. We expected them to just 1P Lulu into Cogmore because, for the past 7 games Mammoth have played, they've either played Cogmore Lulu or they've played Varus Thresh. So with Thresh being banned, we were expecting the Cogmore Lulu to be picked up like almost instantly. So that was completely expected. What we didn't expect is the fact that they actually gave us Ziggs, because we think that with how Mammoth usually drafts, like their comp really doesn't have any tools to fight against the Ziggs. Like Ziggs will just hit this point where he will be able to just clear like 1 or even 2 waves at once, because his ultimate is going to be down to like something like 34 seconds cooldown. So I just don't see Mammoth's comp, having that chance to even like contest us into the late game.
Yeah, I mean, always an interesting little champion to sort of see coming through in that bot lane. I'm quite sort of keen to see how you guys are going to use that Ziggs. I want to take this in a different direction, though. Obviously, yesterday you guys were obviously having a rougher time, I suppose, against Peace. Has there been much of a discussion around that? Or, are you bouncing back from that okay? Or is this something that you're sort of going to leave until after the week to sort of discuss?
Yeah, I mean, like against the quote-unquote better teams in the league, when you look at last split's results, we're trying a different style, we're trying a different approach. So we're expecting a bit of like a turbulent gameplay, and we can see that against Cheese, we see it against Peas, and we're completely fine with that, because this is a triple round robin split. So I think for the first round robin, we're happy to just test out things and try to fish out okay, what is good against the teams and what isn't.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously you got the long game in mind for this squad, which is probably a good thing. The final question I had for you, obviously sort of surrounding the split so far, is that it has kind of been a bit up and down for Order, and I just wonder if it's been difficult for you guys to sort of find momentum, right? Because there's been weeks where you've gone 1-1 and you've sort of had a win, and then you've had a loss, and then you've had a win, and then you've had a loss. So how's this split kind of feeling for you guys at the moment? Is it just a bit awkward in that respect, or again, are you sort of just thinking more so long term?
Yeah, I mean, between split 1 and split 2, the biggest problem that we identified is that stability, especially around the mid game, and this is something that we've been like trying to work on a lot. And to be fair, like I think this splits gameplay, I mean, I'm pretty satisfied personally. I mean, obviously we're still confident of games a little bit, around random fights. However, if we look at the Peace game, if we look at the Chiefs game, we were ahead in the early game, and if we're able to just stabilize it, we're able to just stick to our gameplay, we would easily have a 6-1 or 7-0 split. I mean, around robin.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's the goal, isn't it? And I think that's something that you can look towards for the next couple of round robins. Either way, great to have your time again, Calvin, and thank you very much for the chat.
Thank you.
Awesome, Rusty. A couple of little insights there from Calvin, but nothing too untoward going on in the early game.
Yeah, nothing really exceptional or crazy happening in the early game. Mac's going to have his order prediction there. Thank you to the Twitch chat for that one. Overall, we saw some odd pathing, I'm going to say, from Kevy. There was a lot of vertical jungling and swapped areas of priority on the map. I think Mammoth, with priority down in the bottom lane that were pushing in, didn't go with Gudo to try and secure the enemy blue buff. Leona had the first move for that one, so there was a world where it was a 3 buff or, a big advantage gained potentially by Gudo. Not going to be seen this time around, as the look-ins, the opportunities and the prospects were nothing doing in the end.
One thing I want to note is
what was that minion doing in the end?
I'm not sure, but
hey,
what's going on?
It stole a minion.
Where?
Look at that ranged minion. He's stuck.
It's all right. He's going to die soon. Put him out of his misery. In fact, actually, I'm in the game right now, and I can see the players talking about it. They've noticed it as well. A little bit interesting. Anyways, Dragon is going to be started off here for Gudo. Oh, it's a bit of awkward timing because Kevy has just arrived. Frost and Shinky are now in this awkward spot where they're kind of sandwiched, but they do actually manage to get that prior coming through from the bot lane. So, first mover's advantage, I suppose, for Mammoth here, as Gudo should get the smite. Kevy goes for the flash, ends up looking a little bit silly because he doesn't quite manage to land the smite on the timing. Well done from the Mammoth squad to finish things off. In fact, I think Kevy actually was the only one to get the smite through there. Gudo didn't, but I think Mammoth still got the dragon anyway. And it's a 2-for-0 plus a dragon for Mammoth.
I mean, I'm going to take a stab here and say I think that he used smite at about 470 HP. And it was as Gudo was about to auto smite to secure it. He flashes to mistimed smite the first Drake of the game. He dies for it. Ryze ults in to assist, and he also dies for it. Puma has 0 mana, and so the rest of the lane after that skirmish is bad for Order and in need of a reset as he doesn't have teleport. That is not just a series of unfortunate events, that is really tragic for Order and something that they 100% could have opted out of.
Definitely not the start that they were looking for. On the topic of teleports, this is something I wanted to bring up before the dragon did pop. Frost has actually taken teleport here for the Cogmore, and Shinky's taken heal. So, interesting summon a spell to go down in that bot lane. Maybe just expecting to see teleport through from the Ziggs and wanting to sort of match that shoving ability. Either way,
that is basically what it is, right? Like, I personally would like to see more of a combat summoner. Like, even the Exhaust is an option for someone playing the Cogmore barrier if your goal is to stay alive. But I guess he said, we have so much damage in our composition, it's not the most important thing that I stay alive. And teleport to match that tempo and just keep the farm on the board is what he's deemed to be more important. Teleport is kind of OP, so yeah, I'm never going to dislike someone going for it if they can get away with it.
Plus he has a Lulu behind him, so, Lulu plus heal should be enough to keep him alive if he's positioning correctly, although we have obviously talked about that at length prior to this. Either way, it seems like Mammoth's having a very good time controlling the map at the moment. In particular, Gudo in that jungle. We obviously highlight him a little bit when we're talking about Mammoth, and he seems to be off to a great start again. It was the first dragon that went his way, now contesting this Rift Herald. There is a collapse in from Order, and it seems Mammoth might just start to shy away. They recognize the danger with Beats having roamed up, and Shinky just a little bit behind. Won't be able to have that same kind of presence. So it ends up being a 4-on-3 around the Rift Herald, and that one is going to go the way of Order. But Mammoth have set something up here in the mid lane. The Sejuani ult goes straight on through. Wei with the culling says thanks very much. That's going to be a kill. And they at least trade something for it.
Oh, Frost wants to have a crack down here.
I'm not sure that he does. Mega Inferno Bomb not quite landing on the center. Frost avoiding that, but he is very low indeed. All it takes is one Q, and that's Puma to find the solo kill, which, to be quite frank with you, is sometimes a little bit difficult with Ziggs.
I mean, that is a difficult skill shot to hit. Safe hands, though. The AD carry of Order, Mr. Consistency, that is Puma right now, is able to find those Qs. Wins a 1v1 that Frost enacted, and is able to keep Flash top.
Not sure which way this one's going to go. Maximize just survives. And it's a heartbreaker, really, for Nectar in every sense of the word, because that's what keeps Maximize alive.
Yeah, Max able to win that 1v1 again. He's able to keep the Summoner spell, and that's against the Ignite of Nectar. So full credit to Maximize for putting in the work. And this game starting to swing more and more in the way of Order, even though things started so promisingly for Mammoth. You know, a couple of good skirmishes, Wei having a blinder for the moment. Mr. Inconsistency is what I would probably call Wei in contrast to Puma.
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes Mr. Inconsistency can win you a game just as easily as Mr. Consistency can. We've seen some big performances from Wei in the past, and he's definitely on the way to getting another one.
It does seem like his Lucian in particular is something that he's very comfortable on, more than the others. I think he was also playing Lucian in the Peace game, so...
Yep. Do expect that, though. Lucian obviously intended to be a powerful laner, so if he was behind, if he was struggling, then probably raises a few more eyebrows than anything else. But either way, he's doing pretty well for himself, and so we'll see how things do end up panning on out here for Mammoth. There's exchanges happening still down in the bot lane. You're sort of seeing Frost starting to get zoned a little bit and having to use the living artillery to farm, which is never a fun time. Chunks through your mana pretty quickly on the old Kog'Maw.
Now the Dragon is probably going to be the point of focus. We've seen Order pretty much at every single objective. Contesting it or not contesting it, they've had a crack. They had the numbers advantage for the Herald play, so they timed that one nicely. And they're able to secure the objective before any kind of return response was there from Mammoth. This time around, Mammoth posturing, not aggressively, but definitely hunting to see if they can get some vision down. It does seem like they're looking still.
Oh, good Glacial Prison right over the wall, and Wei looks to follow up again. It's the exact same combo. Wei very low on HP here, though, and Kevy will dispatch of him. Was quite happy to use the Umbral Trespass and wait inside of it quite a while. Overall, a 1-for-1, but Kevy is sort of forced out of the river and
it's still
response.
A tower in mid, right? You've got Ziggs and a Rift Herald. We saw this last game. We're going to see it again. Credit to Order, because I think this is still a better outcome, but if you consider that the first Dragon went the way of Mammoth, and this one is going to be secured, that's a very early 2 Drake start to this game for the blue side gang. Which is not a bad transaction overall. I still favor if I was Order in that case, however.
Yeah, that Rift Herald actually got a second charge off as well. And so the tier 2 mid tower is one-shottable for Puma, who has actually opted to teleport down into bot. Mammoth taking the safe route into the Tribush.
Yeah.
We're able to avoid that relatively comfortably.
The teleport to bot is a clear sign, I think, at this point. You know, he has completed the Leandries, so is starting to ramp up in strength in this game. Even little pot shots, if they connect, are going to be significant. And Frost has actually gone for the correct build this time around. He's going to be rushing the Wit's End. So Wit's End giving a bit of extra AD in its item changes is pretty important. You've got a Lulu to support you as well, so your damage and sustain is high. Now you're just going to be an absolute beefcake frontliner. Pretty hard to deal with. But Ziggs can deal with most things pretty well by just being non-interactive.
Yep.
The question remains, however, how will they go at actually breaking structures when you've got a tank Kog'Maw to contend with?
I think they have a few options right now, and one of them is Kevy starting to work his way down towards the bottom lane. I can't imagine they want to go for a dive here. I think that's a little bit too
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, given that they've got double teleports on both solo laners. Now, there's obviously a response available from the other side. But threatening the Ziggs side of the map is the obvious choice of being able to try and snowball a game out and get leads. So even the pressure, right, knowing that they have teleports and could make the play, and Kevy's able to staunch that side of the map, it could be one auto attack on the turret, right? But that's one closer to a Ziggs W execute. So you can see the results now.
Yeah, it sort of forced some degree of response from Mammoth. I mean, Frost and Shinky just backing off.
Was that plates, by the way? You're in spectator.
Oh, I'd have to go back and have a
look
look quickly.
It would have been very close timing-wise. I think that was like at 14 minutes that they got the last hit on that turret.
Let me have a quick little gaze. Oh, it's actually coming down to the barest of margins. I'm going to have to go back and look at it in slow-mo for you.
Oh, Jesus, all right. Well, I've set him off, so we'll just talk about the rest of the map state while he goes slow-mo mode. We've got Rift Herald spawning again in a couple seconds. You would really like that if you were Order, because again, you've got your Ziggs composition, so Satchel Charge the Herald on a side lane turret. A bit of extra money in there as well on patch 11.13.
So
definitely look forward to.
The tower dies exactly as it ticks over to 14 minutes, which I think means they don't get the plates.
That's really sad.
But they did get, goodness me, can I get my words out? They did get 4 out of the 5 plates on the tower regardless.
Okay.
So it would have just been 1 extra plate. Anyway, we do have the Rift Herald being contested here by Mammoth. Again, they're the ones to start it. This time it seems like Order are not in the position to take much of a response. And so Kevy will just spend the meanwhile clearing out their jungle, which will put him ahead a little bit. We'll get a red buff out of that.
A slight disadvantage through mid lane, and by slight I mean significant. Not having a mythic there at all for Chungi is something that has delayed him quite a lot, and maybe a factor, right, in influencing do we contest these objectives. You also have no teleports from Puma. Frost.
Yeah, I don't think Frost is going to be lasting too long.
What are you doing there?
Not sure he has the answer for that one, Rusty, because he is going to be spending a bit of time on the grey screen now.
Might have forgotten that his outer turret was dead. Now the inner is going to go as well. Frost definitely missed positions. Is well picked up, however, by Order, who definitely have control of the map, though they lose their Herald. They still are the ones who get a kill on a turret from it, and even getting Chungi involved, because like we were just about to mention, that no teleports there for 2 members of the team does start to limit the strategic options, but a Rise ultimate can circumvent that well.
Dragon about to spawn, 20 seconds for that objective. Do have 2 teleports to the 1 available right now. Mammoth with the advantage. Doesn't look like they're going to be utilizing that. Hector and Wei are just going to be heading in the direction of the mid lane, looking to clear things out. It looks like Mammoth are more than happy to play as 4 or 5 even. Group themselves up. Dragon has begun for Order, but so has the chase for Mammoth. They haven't actually pushed them off of that Dragon just yet. Mammoth not too eager to push forward here at all. They've got no vision control. Ooh. Solar Flare not quite going to connect as required, and Zenith Blade skims past the head of 1. There is the Rift Herald down in mid for Mammoth, and so they will trade the Dragon for a turret.
And it is just going to be the full disengage on the top side of mid lane. You probably see the resets as they've earned their money, they made their keep, but they've lost the Dragon. So the early Ocean Soul is no longer going to be as earlier in consideration. Max still starting to run away with his side lane, something that we haven't really touched on too much. He's developed a 40-odd CS lead as well as that solo kill that we saw before. Starting to add up to be a very big deal. And any side lane concerns that exist get exacerbated only further by a Ziggs poking his head round to these places and just throwing a satchel there. Very similar to last game in that respect.
Solon said he wins the race, seems to be the mantra for Order. Wei spending a bit of time up in the side lane himself. Which is probably where you want to be seeing him now, that he does have Gale Force completed. A lot of 1v1 potential on that champion, but what about 2v1 potential? What about 2v2 potential? Because Goodo has now arrived. Glacial Prison very close to coming off cooldown. Wasn't available.
It is a blue cane Jordan. We didn't really get a chance to talk too much about that, but he's opted into the Assassin build. He's also gone for Duskblade, presumably in... Oh, hang on.
Kudo seems to have caught Beats, but Beats is able to jump back over the wall with the Blast Cone, so no harm done. Leona's a fair and balanced champion. She does just press Eclipse and takes 0 damage.
Yeah, quite tanky, but quite a low cost.
Yeah,
But definitely is able to just get out there thanks to that Blast Cone. And again, I believe that we might be seeing Kevy go Assassin Blue Cane simply because he can build Serpent's Fang with this build. You could, in theory, go Red Cane with a Serpent's Fang, but it just doesn't feel right. You're an Assassin, you may as well, like, if you're going to build lethality, go the Blue Cane, so you're still useful. The Serpent's Fang's obviously going to be quite good into a Lulu composition. It's definitely one of the main reasons that I would have done that if I was Kevy, more than anything else.
yeah, we'll see what he does opt for, but certainly headed in the right direction. Nectar could be in a spot of bother here, but Maximize, he did already invest. Starting a little bit earlier on in the piece, so didn't have it available.
It was the ultimate by Nectar nonetheless. They at least forced the ultimate out of him. One of the downsides of Gwen, particularly against a Viego and a Kayn, is that there's no point even using your W. You're not going to be immune to their damage, really.
Yeah, they'll be on top of you regardless.
Yeah, and your only crowd control is your ultimate. So chucks that one out, pot shot to hit the slow, and that's an ult missing. So can't fight. Even if you couldn't before, it's worse now.
Well, the shove going on in top as well for Order. They're controlling the entire map at the moment, pushing in top, bot, and start to see Puma headed in the direction of mid to clear that wave out as well, as Ziggs does best. Kevy lurking around in the top side jungle, looking for any opportunities. Hasn't found too much just yet, but certainly making his presence known, and that's keeping Mammoth on their toes.
There's actually been a lot of time here where Order have started to slow down the game. They broke the bot lane in a turret. They're looking to break this outer turret. At the very least, this will drop. And the pressure still definitely exists in the way of Order. But you have to consider, again, how much time is now going to be spent farming, where that is time that Mammoth are going to spend for a Cogmore farming. It's dangerous. That's all I'm saying, is you might be adding risk if you slow this game down too much. Wei is already 3-1, already has those 2 items completed, so he's going to be pretty prolific when it comes to team fighting anyway. And now they're just giving more and more space for Frosts to do his thing. And similar to Nectar, actually, because it was a 40 CS lead, it started to shrink more and more.
Seems to be coming together a little bit for Mammoth. Still a decent 4K or so deficit in terms of the gold. A lot of that is thanks to the turrets that Order picked up earlier. We saw how quickly that can fall by the wayside in the previous game. Dragon on offer in about 20 seconds or so, but Mammoth are headed in the direction of Baron instead. Haven't completely cleared out the vision. There is a control ward in the pixel bush that it seems that they will not even see. Surely Wei doesn't go past this without clearing
Surely he walks in the bush.
No one has. So that's giving Order a lot of confidence right now, and I'm not sure that's going to be what Mammoth wants. Nice solar flare, the combo there for Kevy, right on top of that Lulu, who is still surviving. Kudo also very low on HP, but out onto the outskirts of the fight. Maximize did actually get 1v1 by Wei, so all things considered, a good fight for Mammoth.
I mean, it's amazing that we can say that's a good fight for Mammoth. There's no way they're going to be able to contest the Drake here at all, just looking at the health deficit that existed. A forced reset for most of Mammoth. But at the end of the day, that was just a 1-for-0 and absolutely robbed of kills. You would feel like if you were Order, many blinking health bars limp away from the team fight and disengage, and Mammoth get themselves a free reset. Oh, we get to see the replay there. Okay. Maximize just flashes straight into the culling.
That's going to happen, I guess. That's what's going to do ya. If you don't have any mobility and you're standing right in front of a culling, you're probably dead. So Mammoth have opted to go straight onto the Baron here. Interesting play considering Order had all 5 players available. Maximize forced to TP. So was Chungy by the looks of things. overall
Yeah.
not too bad of a passage of play there, I think, for Mammoth.
Yeah, that in a way is like soft punishing that the Drake is never going to be theirs, right? The reset comes out from Mammoth. Their decision, knowing that Order are going to walk from the Baron pit to the Drake pit, is to use that time to their advantage, try and start the Baron, and now mid.
Oh, Glacial Prison doesn't connect onto Puma, but it hits Beats, and now looking for the turn from Order. Won't quite get it. We're talking about the frontline Cogmore. There it is for you. Frosts can't survive with Kevy inside of him, and all things considered, Order get their man.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the Serpent's Fang coming into effect there from Kevy as well. Not enough shielding to try and keep Frost alive. Again.
That's not good. Face checking a bush like that when you know Order's there, or were there. Free kill, really. Not good news at all, and this will probably be Baron for Order.
I don't know if that's Wei saying I will face check because I have my E and Gale Force, but he just walks straight into a Rune Prison and dies. Massive mistake there from Mammoth and from Wei if it was communicated that he would go first. Kevy gets low, but he's going to be able to secure the Baron. At the end of the day, this is still huge for Order. Mammoth trying to make plays, but they've also got a cross-map Gwen split pushing while they're face-checking bushes. I don't know if that's enough to actually... It's just not the play. It's just not the play.
Certainly not. Big swing in the favor of Order. It's now out to about 6k gold. And they do have the Baron buff. So where do they go with that? They seem like they want to continue with the same sort of play style as what we've seen in the last couple of minutes, having maximized down in the bot lane. Bit of a 1-4 split. Maybe Kevy sort of roaming around, seeing what he can find. But everything seemed to be working in the favor of Order at the moment. Nectar on the other side of the map, doing a little bit of janitorial duty, just trying to shove this wave out so that that's not a factor. Seems like Wei might be caught out here. Mega Inferno bomb, and Kevy goes golden for a moment. Wei, can he survive? Through with the culling. Doesn't do enough damage really to do too much. Everfrost locking him down. Shinky is in trouble, and Kevy picks up another one. Nectar looks like he won't last long here either. A lot of Zonya's hourglasses and stopwatches invested into this fight. Kevy won't survive, but overall, Order get what they wanted, and that is going to be their first inhibitor of the game.
And just the capitulation of Mammoth here, realistically. You've got the push from Order. They are just winning comprehensively. They're going to push in for the Nexus and try and end the game here as well, it looks like.
Yeah, might actually be the play here for them, considering they do have a Ziggs. Remember how much quicker these turrets are going to go down. Maximize, trying to be that front line, but they just don't seem to have enough, considering Wei's up in 5 seconds. Shinky having just respawned. The defense will be there in time for Mammoth, but that is again, another really rough one to lose for Mammoth. They lose so much off that.
Yeah, they've in effect lost most of the game here. 7k is not an insurmountable goal difference, but it's really difficult to deal with their opponents at this state of the game. You've got a frozen heart for your Rise as well, as if they needed some extra armor. You know, things are going from bad to worse. We even saw the most useless stopwatch from Kevy, but it doesn't matter, right? Because he's done the damage, he's hit a W, he gets in there once again and is targeting. He's being a serial pest to Shinky, who just cannot deal with him.
We might get cut off here by Maximize, but can he do enough before that happens? Chungy drops, but here comes some retribution for Order. Wei gets executed, and it's a 1-for-1.
Yeah, really easy response there from Order, and if your play is to desperately go for this side lane onto Chungy, I mean, he was 1-3. What's 1-4 for the tank-built Rise when the rest of your squad is just dismantling them? This inhibitor is very easily going to drop here.
Not a whole lot that it feels like Mammoth can do about it. Frost's just starting to come across, but he's got barely any mana to speak to. Helped out maybe by having a red buff to just give himself a bit of extra peel, but in the end, the lads from Order just decide to back off a little bit, recognizing Dragon might be up here. That could be the angle.
It's a lot of respect given to the side of Mammoth here by Order, though. They're going to keep Maximize at least in the top area. He was considering a reset there and may still do so. The Dragon's free, right? The inhibitor is something that they might have considered contesting, but you do have a 2.5 item Cogmore with a Lulu still up to deal with, and you were missing a bit of the free entry, right? You don't have a flank angle when it's inside their base. It's a bit harder to be Kane without a flank. So they might just be opting for the safest possible way to close this game out.
Triple Ocean for Order. That is a lot of sustain. Here comes Maximize, and I was about to say there goes Wei. In fact, maybe it's about to be there goes Maximize, because he's now in a bit of trouble. Wei doesn't quite have all the damage through, but forces the flash out from Maximize.
I feel like Maximize knows better than to use his ultimate there. Very loud noises from that animal, but Maximize definitely knows better than to use his ultimate. Now has to flash his way out to safety and scrape away with a sliver of health. But, you know, you win the first trade. That's not the reason I say that is it's not the first time he's done that. He has dueled way before to the death and was the loser of that trade, and that was almost deja vu.
More pressure coming through from Order now into the mid lane, into the top lane. They continue with the 1-4 split that's been working for them so far in this game. Frost, 265 CS, has actually finished off the Immortal Shield Bow as his second item. So an extra bit of sustain and survivability for him, but does that keep him alive against the 4-2-2 Kevy, who, as we've mentioned, does have the Serpent's Fang, and actually now has his third item completed as well. Bit of poke coming through. Tower starting to get lower and lower and lower. And remember, we're just waiting for that magic point at which Puma can one-shot it. Depends on what level his W is. But it's getting close. Not quite there yet.
Okay,
feels like maybe it's one order away.
Frost has hit the big 3 here, Jordan. It's maybe the last bastion of hope for the side of Mammoth.
Well, they're going to need to make something happen. It's Glacial Prison to start the fight off, and immediately Frost gets stunned, forced to flash away, still in the back line, still surviving, but his front line is not lasting much longer, and he hasn't had that much time to actually auto. I think he's fired about 2 or 3 of them so far in this fight, and that's an inhibitor down. Wei doing the lion's share of the work at the moment for Mammoth, just on the side, on the flanking angle, but also not being able to find a kill himself. That's all well and good for Order, although they might have overstayed a little bit here. I think Beats should be going down. Goodo stunned up for a second. In fact, Order just walk away safely.
Beats is able to survive here from just the sheer zoning capabilities of Puma. Just throwing minefields down, satchels down, bombs left, right, and center. And there's so much respect to Ziggs being paid by Mammoth. They walk the long way around every single time he throws spells.
Yep.
And now Order are able to reset, teleport straight into the Baron buff. No time wasted. Basically gone.
It's going down fast, especially considering they don't have an AD carry. And here is the contest, though, from Mammoth. Maximize staying on. The steal is in from Goodo. Kevy was out of there. He didn't have Smite available. Miscommunication maybe from Order, but that could well be the big throw that Mammoth have been looking for. Order, what has happened there?
I mean, Order maybe just not expecting the aggression and the timing. You know, there was no hesitation from Mammoth. They teleport in, they say, we are contesting this. And Kevy just doesn't have Smite. I don't think he was worried about whether he had Smite or not initially, because the Baron was free in their mind. And Goodo comes in. Maximize continues to hit while Kevy's looking to disengage. He even flashes out of the pit. So there was absolutely no threat besides Goodo. It's a free Baron. They've literally given a free Baron to Mammoth.
It looks just like pure miscommunication, to be honest, because Kevy is out there trying to zone Mammoth away from the Baron before it's even below like 2,000 or 3,000 HP. So there's no world in which he's looking for a Smite, obviously, because he doesn't have one. But was that communicated to the rest of the team? And in that case, why is Maximize and Chungy still hitting the Baron? If they all turn at the same time, I think Order still wins that fight. If not, obviously we saw what happens. Either way, an avenue of attack here now for Mammoth. They have the Baron, they have it for 1 minute and 45. So, what can they do with it?
That definitely felt like a case of varying opinions. I think the communication of no Smite's obvious if you've got Kevy running out of the pit, because he is disobeying rule number 1 then, if that's the case. But nevertheless, this is going to be time purchased. This Ocean Soul is still game-winning strong. So Mammoth can't just sit in their base. They've already teleported Wei in just then to push mid-wave out. And they're going to threaten the Ocean Dragon. You've got Maximize threatening split push as well. That top lane inhibitor should die as a trade for this. There's a chance that he gets 3 inhibitors, and there's only 1 Nexus turret left alive.
Well, Nexa is headed back to base, and so Maximize just opts to
Mammoth
disappear.
Have just picked a bush. They have picked the smallest bush.
Well, they waited patiently for the dragon, and now they've got it. See if they can actually secure it. This could be a big for Kevy. Mega Inferno Bomb combined with Kevy's Smite results in an Ocean Soul for Order. And that Baron buff is ticking away ever so quickly for Mammoth, and maybe Wei's life will be as well, because he's just been left high and dry. No teammates there at all. Wei's dead. Mammoth, well, they had Baron, but you wouldn't know it.
Well, nobody outsmites Kevy when he actually has Smite, is the lesson of the day. They're going to be able to secure the Ocean. It's very hard to deal with the Ziggs ultimate and Smite coming in. High damage bursts from the opposing team. You can't coordinate that on your own. It's a true 50-50, it feels like, and Kevy's the one who comes up trumps. Ziggs ultimate is so low a cooldown as well with this Leandra's build, by the way. It's already ready to go again. You just constantly throw it at this stage. It's really insane. And that's going to be 3 inhibitors minimum.
Might be the game, Rusty. It doesn't look too good here for Mammoth. They're getting pushed in on all sides. 2 waves already starting to crash. The mid wave with Super Creeps is headed in that direction as well. And that is the final inhibitor falling for Order. Solar Flare lands on top of Shinky. And look at that damage. He's just dead. He's just gone. There's nothing he can do. Maximize into the back line alongside Kevy. They're fighting hard. Nectar's surviving as best as possible. Does go into the Zhonya's. And it looks like Beats is going to be on zoning duty while Puma and Chungy try to hit the Nexus. There's some damage coming through, but is it enough? Well, it looks like it will be. Puma gets those empowered autos through and gets it done. Order will find the victory. Mammoth maintain a winless streak. I'm not sure that Order's looking too pleased with themselves, all things considered. But hey, a win's a win.
A win is definitely a win. I mean, Mammoth have gone a full round robin +1 now without being able to find a victory. A couple of times it's looked like they've had the potential to, and even with moments of hope in this game. Like, consider how it started, right? Such a good little first dragon play. Teleports in, 2 kills. You've got a Lulu Cog with kills on the board. Like, you're feeling so good. And then immediately Order just flick the switch and turn on their best, right? And are able to completely snowball the game out of control.
Oh, we did see a Smite steal there on the Baron, and we do have a Smite steal Baron aficionado in the, in the talent team. Mac, you're pretty good at those. What do you reckon of that one?
I don't know if that was a compliment or a stab.
How was that a stab?
Yeah, no worries. You've forgotten, so everyone's forgotten. Now, moving on. Yeah, great game. Mammoth almost getting a W on the board, but Order, got another W. So it's them that have to be walking with their heads held high. Look, you said they weren't looking super happy with themselves, but at the same time, Mammoth almost beat Peace as well. So it's one of those situations where, Order, they lost a piece. So coming out of this, they needed this W just to keep in contention with the top of the leaderboard, and they got there. And also, it was interesting getting to see Kevy on the cane. I heard what you guys were saying, that it was good into the sedge, and I believed it and let it happen. And I was very glad that it did happen, because it did enable Kevy to just run around and really farm up a storm, especially towards the end of the game when he got very powerful as the blue cane. But again, what the hell's going on here? Goodo jumping into the pit, just free Baron right there. 1 smite is all it took.
Yeah, no team's perfect at the moment, Mac. That's one thing that we're learning for certain in the LCO. And the other thing is, while Order may not be super happy, a win's a win. And that's the other lesson that we basically have at the moment. You take every win that you can bloody find at the LCO right now, and you just work on where you're going wrong, because everyone's got issues.
Yeah, there was a few times as well where Wei looked really good, and then there was a few times where Wei sort of might have made a move wrong or two, and unfortunately didn't go his way. As well as, Order with the Ocean Soul, with 4 Ocean Drakes as well. That was just, a bit of a uphill battle from that point when the Soul did go across. But of course, that Dragon, its health went from 2.4k to 0 in a matter of a millisecond. So it was just so much burst damage all combined at once. And there was not a lot that Mammoth could have done in that situation. However, look, the almost 10k gold lead for Order got them across the line into the end. And again, Ziggs, we're seeing Ziggs back-to-back in games today, Jordan.
There we are. Seems to be making a bit of a resurgence. We got to see a little bit of Ziggs here and there, I think, last split. But yeah, I mean, I'm quite eager to see what Ziggs can do. I know he's obviously had some pretty recent buffs, and they don't seem like massive buffs on paper, but I think they're really just kind of quality of life. It makes him feel just a little bit nicer to play. So we're starting to see him sort of pull through a little bit. I think he's got his niches, I suppose, is probably a good word for it, but I doubt it's going to be a mainstay. I think this is probably more of an anomaly than anything.
Well, someone else that we know and love as an anomaly is Juves. Let's bring him back into the conversation. And Juves, as an interviewer, is also a bit of an anomaly. Who do you have down on the post-match for the winners' interview?
I've got my main man, Chungy, in the mid lane. Now we're gonna start this one off with a congratulations on the win, and you looked more relieved than happy at the end of that game. Talk to me what that game was like for you. It looked like a bit of a rough start, but you managed to pull that one through with the tankier Rise build.
Yeah, that game, it just felt like we were just better players in the end. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, we out-macroed them, I think. But, like, obviously the early game, their champions were stronger than ours. So we just didn't respect, like, the early skirmishes that they had, which we got behind from.
And can you walk me through, I guess, the communication surrounding that Baron flip? Because that was flipped like some of the burgers I had for lunch. And let me tell you, it was a good burger, not necessarily a good Baron.
Yeah, so Kevy did call that he had no smite, and Max zoned out. Like, I don't know what it was doing, but he just kept hitting the Baron. So then I just kept hitting the Baron, and then, yeah, like, 3 of us ran out of the pit, while me and Max were still hitting the Baron. Like, I was confused as well, because Kevy called no smite, but
So
yeah, that just happened.
It was like a chain reaction of like one person zoning out, and then you're like, well, if he's committed and zoned out, I'm also going to commit and zone out, and then it's just like chain reaction until it became a bit of a I guess competitive game after that. But where to from here? Where to from here? What happens now? Because again, your win rate is looking quite slick. It's looking good. You know, slowly climbing up that ladder. And I mean, I feel like I asked this question a lot, but we seriously got to consider now. You know, the narrative is like happy to make playoffs and then anything can happen. But after today's win, obviously it was against Mammoth, but are you really looking at maybe taking Peace's position or Pentanet's position? Because at the moment it looks like the Chiefs. Then what is it? Is it going to be Order?
I honestly don't know. Like, our goal as a team is to just like get better individually, like find our own identity as a team. Wherever we place on the ladder, like just results from our performance. So like, obviously we won first, but yeah, it's just results. Like, results speak.
Hey, first isn't too far away though. I just want to throw that one out there. So if you want to see your eyes on first, go for it. I've got to let you go. So thank you for joining me again. And honestly, though, the best response I've ever gotten was that Baron communication thing. So I really love that. Thanks for telling me.
All good, all good.
All good to have a beautiful little insight into what's going on or what might not be going on in the mind of a top laner.
Is that not the best insight ever to a Baron call you've ever heard?
It's just so relatable as well, right? Like, he just kept hitting it, so I just kept hitting it, and then it was gone. And I just don't know what happened.
No one else hit it, though. It needs to be the whole team on the same page. If all 5 continued to hit it, that was gone anyway, and they would have had it. So, look, hindsight is 20/20. And something else that is $100 in DoorDash vouchers is the DoorDash player that delivered. But who gets it? That's the question. It's your boy Puma for going off in the bot lane, 6-0-6. Again, we've got a second Deathless DoorDash player that delivered today, 75% kill participation, 14 wards. You know, the numbers speak for themselves, but I'm sure his gameplay does as well. Doesn't it, Rusty?
Absolutely. I mean, 6-0-6 doesn't do justice the amount of work that the player has been able to do, right? Saving his teammates on top of all of that. 40% damage share is very significant when you've got a lot of damage dealers on the squad as well in your draft. And definitely was a major part of the team's success with the Ziggs pick. The ability to pick it first and know it's going bot lane does speak volumes for the confidence of the player.
I'm loving the finger gun pose coming out from Puma there as well. There's a few interesting player shots that we've managed to get so far here on the DoorDash LCO, especially for these the DoorDash player that delivers.
It's cool when you do it, Juves.
Put him up, put him up. No,
do my face. I got to do the face like Puma too. Ready? It's called Blue Steel.
Oh my.
You can't just blue steel, you have to look from the side to the front, right?
Yeah, you got to go from the back. So quick, do a 180. Quick 180.
Wow.
Oh my.
You guys like
powerful.
I think you just did Magnum. You went the other way. I thought that
do
was...
what I want.
I thought you
do
went
what I
the way.
want.
Someone's going to turn that into a meme. That's
Do
all
what
I
you
need
want.
to say.
Do it
Someone
all
has
day.
to do that.
He does it all day. I heard that as well. Well, we got half of a day left And to get there, we've got to go to a break. But Peace and Cheeps is going to be coming up just after that break here on the DoorDash LCO. Exclamation playlist in chat. Enjoy this 6th song, Slumber Party by Ash Nico.
Especially considering they don't have an 80 carry. Here is the contest though from Mammoth. Maximize staying on. The steal is in from Goodo. Kevy was out of there. He didn't have Smite available. Miscommunication maybe from Order, but that could well be the big throw that Mammoth have been looking for. Disappear.
Pick the bush. They have picked the smallest bush.
Well, they waited patiently for the dragon, and now they've got it.